In this podcast, I share my wisdom on circular living and creative being. I make interviews with people who live their life by following their hearts. Together we share our most memorable moments, the highs and the lows. By our honesty makes our journey a sacred one. Come closer to the sun with us. In this episode, I would like to share with you my nervous system healing tools. The greatest gift to give our children is our own happiness. I realized this early on, as I have lost my mother so young. Her sickness, which has started in her early 40s, and her lived example of how unprocessed childhood trauma can eat up one's life, set me on a quest to understand myself and the world around me better. Healing starts with the ability of being able to stay with what is. To be able to heal the generational trauma starts with our own work. Our belief about ourselves and our limiting behavioral patterns are with us for a reason. And as I have started to pay attention to my anger, I have found that instead of managing it, better if I understand its roots. Forming curious questions about the pain which exists underneath it. I have uncovered that the misconception of I am not good enough comes from the burden I put on myself as an empath child on a mission of saving my parents, especially my mom, from her suffering. There is a deep ingrained belief inside me that my responsibility is to change and heal all the pain I feel around me. Since becoming a mother myself, I have been learning to draw my boundaries more accurately. I figured out that bringing solution to others' problem is not my responsibility. My responsibility is to work on myself. Time to time, as I'm experimenting with using new responses, I feel so unsettled. I feel in some sense that I have lost the ground underneath. However, what is different, that I have heaps more resources than I used to. With this truth on my side, I'm able to gain my lost momentum back, and with renewed zest, I keep going. Healing comes as I'm able to understand myself and allow myself, my emotions, to move me. During my early life, I conditioned myself to freeze my emotional body and develop an intellect which mimics my bodily feelings. I could talk about how I felt, but as I looked deeper, I could notice that these were not feelings, but beliefs. In my process of my inquiry, I realized how much I was disconnected from my body. Now I know that my body keeps the score, so I did not lose anything. My nervous system, as well as my muscles and deeper tissues of my body, recorded all events in my life. I am fascinated by the human's body, by that sense that our body always tries to heal itself. It always tries to organize itself in a way which is the most effective use of the energy which is available. Healing comes as I'm able to feel the messages of my body, as my field of perception grows. Healing comes in a tender, compassionate approach toward my own shadows and unhealed parts. Healing comes as I don't deny anymore my unwanted parts, but I turn toward them with welcoming curiosity. I wonder how much more complete my life could be if I would integrate my wounded parts, if I would turn my pain into an elixir, if I would turn my sensitivity into my superpower. Healing comes when I am able to maintain a fearless attitude toward my own demons. Trauma is disconnection. Therefore, healing comes in a way of connections. All those safe connections we create inside of ourselves or outside in our environment. My way of searching my wholeness was a desperate mission filled with restless and scattered energies. I wanted to change, and if I could not change, I changed my environment, just like my mother did. My inherited patterns were pushing forward me up to this point in my life, where I realized there is no need for change. The deep burdened need inside me asks for remembrance. It asks for understanding. Therefore, I have embarked on a journey called by this inner request. I am in a process to establish a different kind of sadhana, daily practice, than I used to have. These days my yoga exists outside of my comfortable yoga mat, at least most of it, because I am practicing the yamas and the niyamas. I do breath work, I do relaxation, I meditate, I contemplate, and most of all, I am practicing presence in all circumstances. I am practicing allowing what is, letting it be. In the result of these practices, I would like to share with you my allies, which are my most useful resources of healing my nervous system so far. So these are the ones which I'm using daily. First of all, my main practice these days is sourcing energy from beauty. I love this so much. I do this in a way that I create beauty in my environment. I put fresh flowers on our dining table, or reading a poem and sharing it, or listening uplifting music, or watching the clouds on the sky. I also love stargazing. And then my second one on my list is grounding, which I do in a way that I find stability through my bones, sensing the connection between my body and the supporting surface underneath. Then I do orienting, reminding myself my current age. This is a surprisingly very useful practice for myself. And this awareness brings me that instead of acting out from my wounded youngish self, I can act as a 45-year-old mother, resourceful mother, who loves her child. Especially, I use this as my parenting tool. Then I do pausing. I stop and slow down as much as I can with my actions, with my words, with my breath. In a way, I simplifying and prioritizing what is important, what is necessary. Finding stability is a little bit similar to grounding, but in this practice I sense the stable environment around me, like the ceiling, the floor, the walls. If I am outside, then I sense the trees or the earth underneath my feet. I like shaking, dancing, singing. I do love shaking when I do breath work, and between rounds of counted breath work, I do some shaking, which really helps me to let go energies as well as ground myself, and also helps me to really orient myself back to receive new energies. Then what I love is to reminding myself that I have a choice. So choice is a big one for me. And then I do love breathing patterns. As I said, I do breath work, but I do shorter practices, like mini practices between or during my day. I do love the 4-4-4-4 breath. This is called box breathing also, which is like a 4 count breathing in, pause for 4 count, and then out breath for 4 count, and the pause for another 4 count. So these are the practices which I do use daily, but I also wrote you a list, which is the ones that I am working on. These are not coming easily for me, but when I use them, these are having the greatest transforming benefits on my patterning. So the first one is the listening to my gut feelings, tuning into the sensations in my body, forming a response by using my body's wisdom instead of my intellect. So this is a big one for me, as I tend to overthink things. Then I apply curiosity in tense situations. So I question my negative thought patterns, or I question my behavior in a certain situation where I overact, and then if I can, I stop and question myself that is this really necessary here? Then drawing boundaries, saying no more often is a biggie for me. Asking for help, again, is what I need to practice. Connecting with safe person or safe people, a safe community for co-regulation, instead of trying to solve everything by myself. This is a practice to widen and feeling more connected. And then orienting myself to the cycles of my moon cycle, as well as the phases of the moon, is a good practice of myself. Actually, I dedicated this year of this practice, that I do write down every day a little bit about the day and try to count where am I in my cycle. So, and then I can relate then each day what kind of energies is up. And also, if I know where am I in my cycle, then I am more able to use my energy more efficiently, in that sense that I know where in the middle of my cycle I have the most of my energy. So I try to do all my creative things, all my offerings at this point, but this is a wider discussion, so I will talk about this for you if you are interested in. And then I try to drink more water and nourish my senses, appreciate my circumstances, appreciate the colors, the smells, the environment around me, and also what I consume. So these are my lists. I hope you find something in between which you are inspired to try out and which brings you more safety, more joy. Let's remind each other to our goodness. Let's focus on creating exceptional health. Let's reconnect to nature. May you laugh easily and forgive readily. Have a resource-filled April, everyone. Until next time.